Tonight on NewsWatch, distributing aid amidst the typhoon destruction. How CBN disaster relief teams are working in the hardest hit areas of the Philippines.
Plus, a look at the upcoming Iranian nuclear talks and why Israel says any kind of deal is a bad one.
And how working later in life could help fight off Alzheimer's. All this and more tonight on NewsWatch. Good evening. I'm Mark Martin.
And I'm Heather Sells. It has been a little over a week since Typhoon Haiyan hit the Philippines, and the country is only just beginning the lawn cleanup effort.
International aid is pouring into the region. More than $270 million have been donated to disaster relief efforts so far. At least 3,976 people have been confirmed killed. Nearly 1,600 are still missing. More than 4 million people remain displaced tonight.
The distribution of water, food, and medicine to typhoon survivors is picking up speed. CBN's disaster relief teams are working throughout the affected areas. George Thomas is on the ground and has that story from Tacloban.
Okay, let's get those repacked and let's move it to the other side so that we can load them onto the truck.
CBN's disaster relief warehouse in Manila is in overdrive mode.
Actually, we've been in this mode the past 5 months. We've had typhoons, we had the earthquake, we had the war in the south. Now, this devastating typhoon.
Dr. Kim Pascual oversees the operation. She says Typhoon Haiyan is by far the biggest disaster they've had to deal with.
The scale of this is so big.
The destruction is wide, spread across 6 Philippine islands, and is presenting huge logistical challenges for aid distribution.
The problem is we're dealing with small islands that doesn't have transportation from the very beginning.
But with help from local partners, supplies are getting to the hardest hit areas by plane and boat. One of those cities is Tacloban. A 17-foot storm surge swept away the port city, destroying a majority of the homes and businesses. On a recent afternoon, CBN disaster relief team set up an emergency mobile clinic near Marites Bacho's house.
My family had to hold on to trees to survive.
Nothing is left of her neighborhood. She's now living in a makeshift structure. And like so many of the survivors here, Bacho and her 2 children were treated for upper respiratory problems.
These medicines will make us feel better.
The official death toll from the typhoon stands at nearly 4,000, but officials say it could rise much higher. Some 11 million Filipinos have been affected, many displaced or left homeless. Long-term, the mental health of survivors is also a concern. Government officials in one city asked CBN Disaster Relief to provide counseling for typhoon victims. Tacloban was the capital city for 6 provinces here in the Visayas. Today, the unimaginable task of rebuilding a mess that looks like this.
We can be overwhelmed by what we see from the news. I myself am overwhelmed. But what we're thinking is zeroing into a village, invest in this village so that it can make a difference, even in 1, 2, or 3 villages, that we can transform and we can really say there is hope even in the midst of disaster.
George Thomas, CBN News, Tacloban, Philippines.
For more on what CBN disaster relief teams are doing and how you can help, visit our website, cbnnews.com.
Here at home, the number of those killed in Sunday's outbreak of tornadoes and storms across the Midwest now stands at 8. And many families have seen their homes destroyed. Dale Hurd has the story.
The twisters brought their worst fury to southern Illinois, where fierce winds tore apart whole neighborhoods and turned them into scrap piles.
This is what my house looks like after a tornado came through. This is my house, folks.
Scenes like this were repeated across at least 5 states in the Midwest after as many as 81 reported tornadoes touched down Sunday and carved their paths of destruction. One man stood at his window reciting the Lord's Prayer as a twister barreled towards him.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Many of those who saw the tornadoes coming were terrified.
Wow.
Even this busy Starbucks in Indiana was destroyed.
All we could hear was glass shattering everywhere. And when we came out, the building was gone.
The severe weather sent 60,000 football fans at Chicago's Soldier Field rushing for cover during Sunday's game. And further south in Illinois, an EF4 tornado created the most terrifying moments of Lisa Hunter and her kids' lives.
We just covered up with a mattress, and she was holding me tight, I was holding her tight.
Their town, Washington, Illinois, was among the hardest hit. The severity of the devastation is just starting to sink in.
We need all the help we can get in this town.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
They sure do. In other news, Wall Street today saw some record-breaking numbers. Early in the day, the Dow Jones Industrial Average pushed past 16,000 points for the first time, and the S&P crossed 1,800. Today's highs are part of a recent rise on Wall Street, spurred by the Federal Reserve's promises to keep stimulating the economy. After hitting the record-breaking highs early in the day, the Dow closed at 15,975, the S&P at 1,791.
Many in Congress are looking to increase U.S. sanctions on Iran. It is a move President Obama is trying to prevent. The president will meet with Senate leaders tomorrow. He wants them to put any sanctions bill on hold before a new round of talks on Iran's nuclear program. Iranian officials have said that if Congress moves forward with any new sanctions, they will walk away from the negotiating table. Meanwhile, French President Francois Hollande is in Israel just days before the international community resumes those negotiations with Iran. In the last round, France would not agree to the terms set by other nations, including the U.S. France's stand is giving Israel diplomatic support in its efforts to prevent the world from relaxing sanctions.
It's clear that this agreement is good only for Iran, and that it's really bad for the rest of the world. Iran's dream deal is the world's nightmare.
Negotiations resume later this week in Geneva. Netanyahu plans to travel to Moscow and lobby Russian President Putin not to endorse the proposed agreement with Iran.
James Phillips is the Senior Research Fellow for Middle East Affairs at the Heritage Foundation, and he joins us now with more on the Iran negotiations. James, both Israel and Saudi Arabia have been vocal about easing sanctions on Iran. Is the Obama administration ignoring important allies?
I hope they're not ignoring them, but I think that at least you could say is that they've discounted the advice given by allies, both Israel and Saudi Arabia, saying that the deal that's on the table with Iran is a bad deal. And what they mean is that the U.S. In the interim stage would give up too much in terms of sanctions and not get enough concessions from Iran.
Congress wants to pass new sanctions on Iran. The administration doesn't. Why the disconnect, James?
Well, I think the administration has been behind the curve from the beginning on the need to ratchet up sanctions on Iran. And the administration, in fact, has opposed some of the most effective sanctions, particularly the central bank sanctions, which really has given Iran major problems. And I think part of it is that the administration is much more optimistic about its ability to negotiate a deal with Iran than Congress is.
Do you think this upcoming round of talks will end in some sort of deal?
I think that it's possible that there may be an interim deal, but I would be very surprised if Iran abides by the terms that it negotiates for a long-term deal. And I think in a sense, what Iran wants is immediate sanctions relief in exchange for promises that it never intends to keep.
Israel has warned against any kind of deal on Iran's nuclear program. How do you think Israel will respond if one is made?
Well, I think there is a growing danger that Israel may go it alone and launch a preventive strike against Iran's nuclear infrastructure. And if the U.S. negotiates a bad deal with Iran, then I think the timetable for such an Israeli strike would come forward.
Okay. James Phillips, the Senior Research Fellow for Middle East Affairs at the Heritage Foundation. Thanks for your insights, James.
Thank you.
The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is having trouble finding a country that will host the destruction of Syria's poison gas stockpile. Belgium has now ruled itself out as a possible location, and last week Albania declined a request to host the operation, saying it's not equipped for the task. Belgium says it prefers that the weapons be destroyed close to Syria. The Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons says it remains confident it can wipe out the entire arsenal by next summer. Earlier this year, the organization won the Nobel Peace Prize for its efforts to eradicate poison gas.
Coming up, how God is moving among those hit hardest by the Philippines typhoon.
In 2008, my husband Gary departed for heaven. I was still grieving. And then to find out I had cancer, I began praying, God, how do I do this? Where do I do this? Cancer Treatment Centers of America was the place. Dr. Neelam outlined a plan that would take care of my mind and my body, and she prayed with me.
For Bible-believing Christians, we're able to pray with them in a much deeper way as they begin to really rely upon their faith.
At Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in the power of faith and prayer as indispensable allies in the fight against complex and advanced stage cancer.
I'm back in Telluride on the mountain skiing. I feel strong and healthy.
Advanced medicine and technology.
And I am a survivor.
The warm embrace of the Spirit and the power of prayer.
These are happy tears.
Please go to cancercenter.com/faith. Appointments available now. Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Care that never quits.
What would you do in a medical emergency?
This is Life Alert. Are you okay?
Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
I'm calling for help right now.
Fire emergency.
Sharon, we received a smoke signal coming from your kitchen. Get out now. We're calling the fire department.
Home intrusion. Emergencies away from home.
I think someone may be following me.
I'm right here and we'll stay on the line with you and we can contact the police if necessary.
If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-524-5236. That's 1-800-524-5236. Call now at 1-800-524-5236 to get a free brochure. 1-800-524-5236. 1-800-524-5236.
Returning now to our top story, families in the Philippines are facing the task of finding each other. The typhoon there has separated many loved ones.
But just as some begin to lose hope that they'll find their family alive, many are relying on another hope. Lucille Toulousan reports.
After days of looking for their mother, these women discovered her body on this side of the street. Exhausted after days of searching, they grieved for only a few minutes and then walked away. Thousands more are still looking for missing loved ones.
For most of the people here, they realize that more than material possessions, the most important thing is family, is being alive and having a new hope in God.
The Pinpin family is grieving over the loss of 4 loved ones. Jessica's father and cousin died in the storm. She still holds out hope that her mother and 3-year-old niece will be found.
I have not seen their bodies, and so I'm hoping that they are still alive.
Jessica says she draws strength from her faith in Jesus Christ. She remembers how she felt God's presence when she came to Christ while watching the 700 Club Asia.
I received Jesus, my Lord and Savior, through 700 Club actually. I was full of rejections during that time. If you've already tried everything, try Jesus. He will never reject you. Sabi niya, whatever you need, just tell it to Him. Just try Him. And my God will meet all your needs according to His glorious riches in Christ Jesus.
Jessica hopes that even as her parents faced the moment of death, they called upon the saving name of Jesus.
I shared the gospel to my father. So I'm really hoping na he called on the name of Jesus during that time.
On this day, many of Jessica's family members prayed to receive Christ through the ministry of CBN. CBN News team also prayed for healing for her cousin's injured leg and made sure he was put on a C-130 to receive proper care in a hospital in another city. Since all of Tacloban's hospitals have been destroyed, many patients are helplessly waiting to be transferred. That's why CBN disaster relief teams have set up medical missions in the different affected areas, bringing care to needy people. Lucille Talusan, CBN News, Tacloban City, Philippines.
Up next, why pushing back retirement could be helping some push back the risk of Alzheimer's.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No.
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah. Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't! They've taken him to Golgotha. We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is Risen. Available now.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
An eye exam could help diagnose Alzheimer's earlier. That is according to new research. A team of scientists found genetically engineered mice with Alzheimer's developed thinning of the retina. That degeneration may reveal degeneration of the brain linked to the disease. That's because the retina is made from the same tissue that makes up the brain. Researchers are optimistic about the findings. They believe with the right tools, eye doctors could help detect Alzheimer's in patients who are not showing any other signs. And while there is no cure for Alzheimer's, there are some ways to fight against the illness.
In tonight's Focus Report, Lori Johnson shows us why those who delay their retirement are less likely to develop the disease.
Our choices can make a difference about whether we get Alzheimer's or keep it at bay. So says a study of 500,000 people that shows for each additional year a person worked, the risk of getting Alzheimer's was reduced by 3%. The reason is because working is more demanding than retirement, physically, mentally, and socially. Stimulation in all three of those areas leads to a healthy brain because they increase the blood flow in the brain and also increase chemicals that protect the brain and slow its deterioration. In addition to those activities, a healthy brain also depends on a good diet, according to a study at the Oregon Health and Science University.
We're interested in things that might have a role in the prevention of Alzheimer's disease, but also looking for things that might be actually causing the disease.
Bowman and his colleagues studied 104 seniors with an average age of 87 and found people who ate trans fats scored lower on thinking and memory tests. Trans fat is in processed foods. It's called hydrogenated oil in the list of ingredients. It's also in fast food, margarine, and vegetable shortening.
Trans fats are they're kind of all over the place.
On the other hand, seniors who ate diets high in vitamins B, C, D, and E, as well as omega-3 fats, scored higher.
So it's a combination of staying away from the bad and getting the good. If you just do one, you may not get the bonus effect.
Some Alzheimer's patients exhibit tremendous improvement after taking coconut oil. Steve Newport's Alzheimer's was so advanced, this is what happened when he tried to draw a picture of a clock. But then his wife, who's also a doctor, started giving him coconut oil. And 2 weeks later, his clock drawing was much better.
I thought at the time, was it just good luck? Was it a lot of prayer? Was it the coconut oil? And I thought, well, we're going to keep the coconut oil going.
3 weeks later, his clock drawing demonstrated an even healthier brain. Dr. Newport wrote a book about Steve's success with coconut oil and has since heard from readers with similar stories.
Some of these responses have been quite dramatic, and I do have a collection now of almost 220 reports, mostly from caregivers and some from the person themselves, reporting that they saw improvement after they started taking coconut oil.
So there are lots of things you can do to improve your brain health, stimulate your mind with work and puzzles, challenge your body with cardiovascular and strength training, and connect emotionally with others. Also, eat a diet rich in vitamins, omega-3 fats, and coconut oil while avoiding trans fats. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
A growing number of Americans say because of the recession, they'll have to wait longer to retire. A survey from the Associated Press finds 82% of working Americans over 50 say it's at least somewhat likely they'll have to do some work for pay after they retire. And 47% expect to retire later than they had previously thought. Experts say people have to make up for the lost money in their retirement plans when the markets plunged in 2008. And some people say it's hard to save for retirement because the cost of living is so high.
Up next, how the nation of Israel is helping to treat survivors of Typhoon Haiyan.
CBNNews.com. News you want, when you want, 24/7. Stay current with up-to-the-minute stories.
Ephraim Graham, CBN News, New York.
I don't have to wait for my news anymore. CBNNews.com at your fingertips all day long.
I only watch the stories I want to see.
I find the story, I click on it, and boom, I'm there.
Embassy in Washington, Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News.
The source for your news, CBNNews.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans. with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right. You could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
An Israeli field hospital is up and running in the Philippines.
It's delivering much-needed medical help to grief-stricken people. Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell has that story.
On the first day, the team delivered a premature baby boy to very grateful parents.
We chose the name Israel, just saying thank you to the Israel people who helped in giving birth.
Israelis set up their tent hospital in Bogo City on Cebu Island. It's adjacent to a Philippine hospital that has just 3 doctors serving 200,000 people. Colonel Ofer Meron is the manager of the Israeli field hospital. He told reporters by phone that they are seeing hundreds of people a day.
So we are fully multidisciplinary hospital that we are able to do from the minor to the more major treatment.
There are 125 people on the Israeli team. About half are medical personnel, and the others are logistics workers.
Of course, our main target here is to treat really the hundreds, maybe the thousands of people that we will treat. But, I mean, there's also side targets that we're aiming towards. And one of them is the cooperation with the people here and maybe to give them some of our knowledge.
Israelis usually show up quickly after a disaster.
Some of it is a question of the mentality that we have. When we know there's a disaster, everyone is ready to drop everything and to come and to assist in any place in the world where we're needed.
The team also helped to renovate a school in Bogo City damaged by the typhoon. Students should be able to resume their studies in the next few days. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
A lot of good coming out of that situation.
Yeah, great to see the Jewish people over there, people from Israel helping out.
Yeah, that is all for this edition of NewsWatch.
And remember, of course, you can email us your comments and questions at newswatch@cbn.com. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great night.